Today we are making the ultimate comfort food, chicken and dumplings. We're going to start with a rich chicken broth, add in some chicken, some fresh vegetables, and top it with some light and fluffy dumplings. And the best part is, we're making it in the Instant Pot. It's easy, delicious, picky eater proof, and the entire family is going to love it. Hi, I'm Leanne from YourHomeBasedMom.com, and today we're making one of my personal favorites, chicken and dumplings. On my blog, I actually have a recipe for chicken and dumplings on the stovetop that is amazing and one of my favorites. So I had to figure out a way how to make it in the Instant Pot, and that's what we're going to do today. Now, if you want the recipe for the stovetop version, you can find a link to it down in the description below. You know, I love everything about chicken and dumplings. But I gotta be perfectly honest, my favorite part is the dumplings. In fact, I think I eat chicken and dumplings just so I can have dumplings. And today, I'm gonna share with you a secret ingredient that you add this into your dumplings and you're gonna have light and fluffy dumplings every time. Let's get started. All right, we're gonna start with our dumplings. Now, I use 1.5 cups of a baking pancake mix. I use Bisquick. If you can't get Bisquick where you are, use whatever your favorite pancake baking mix is. So 1.5 cups of that. We're gonna add in 1/4 cup of milk. You can use whatever kind of milk you have on hand. And then we're gonna add in our secret ingredient, sour cream. It is gonna make the lightest, fluffiest dumplings ever. Then we're just gonna mix that up. Now this is gonna be a wet mixture, so don't let that bother you. It will be sticky and it will be wet. Now if you feel like it's just way too wet, go ahead and just add a little bit more of the Bisquick baking mix in. But I'll show you here that it is going to be wet, and we're going to use, when we go to put it into the Instant Pot, we're going to use 2 spoons to do it. So you'll just be scooping them and plopping them in. So you want it to be wet, not dry. Okay, we are going to start by having our Instant Pot on saute. Let that heat up with a little oil. I'll use about 1 teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of olive oil, just enough to coat the bottom of the Instant Pot. And then we are going to add in our vegetables. And I am using 1 cup of chopped carrot, and I've peeled it. I've got 1 cup of celery diced up, and 1 cup of fresh onion diced. And then we're just going to saute, stir that around a little bit, just for a minute or two. You don't have to let the vegetables get cooked through or anything, because that's all going to happen during the cooking or the pressure cooking. Then we're going to add in our spices, and I'm using 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of oregano, and 1 teaspoon of poultry seasoning. Now this may be a seasoning you don't normally carry in your seasonings, but I highly recommend it. It gives this chicken and dumplings a really great flavor. So 1 teaspoon of poultry seasoning. And then we'll just stir that all up. Get it nice and coated. Things are going to start to smell good. Then after a few minutes of that sauteing, we're going to add in our chicken. And I have 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts that I've diced up into nice bite-sized pieces. We're going to add that in. And again, we're just going to stir it all up and saute just for a minute or two. You don't have to get the chicken cooked through or anything. Like I said, that's all going to happen once we turn on the Instant Pot. And then we're going to add in 4 cups of chicken broth. All right, then our next step is we're going to add our dumplings on. Now, disclaimer, I like a lot of dumplings on my chicken and dumplings. And I like to fill the surface with it. If you don't want as many dumplings, maybe half the recipe for the dumplings instead of the whole one. But like I said, for me, the dumplings are the best part. So what we're gonna do now is just take our wet, sticky dumpling batter and take a spoonful, and then with another spoon, just push it down right into the Instant Pot. They're gonna just float. They may sink just a little bit, but take all your batter. And it doesn't really matter what size you make them, because like I said, they're gonna all kind of expand and fill the surface. All right, So after we've got all the dumplings on, we're going to put on our lid. We're going to put it on manual high pressure for only 3 minutes. And then once that's done, we're going to do a quick release. We're not going to let it do a natural release at all. We want to release that pressure right away so that the dumplings don't get soggy. Okay, then we're going to put our lid on, which for me is the most challenging part of the whole thing. There we go. Make sure that your valve is on sealing, not venting. And like I said, we're going to put high pressure manual for 3 minutes. So after you've got it set, don't forget, it'll take 10 to 15 minutes to come up to pressure. Then it will cook for 3 minutes, and then we're going to be ready to release that pressure. Okay, our time is up. We're going to turn that knob from sealing to venting. Now there's a lot of steam that's going to come out, so be sure and step back. Okay, you'll know that it's safe to open as soon as that little pin right there drops down. I'm going to take off our lid, and it smells so good. Now after you take your lid off, your dumplings may look a little wet, and maybe you think even a little raw, but they're not. They're cooked. But because of all the moisture in there, they're going to look damp. So if you take the lid off and let them sit for just a minute or so, the surface of the dumplings will dry out a bit. Now, I like to take a little dried parsley and just garnish the top of them with some parsley. It makes them look a little prettier. And then we're ready to serve it. Now, I like to serve my chicken and dumplings in a bowl with a spoon. And you're going to need to, first of all, take out the dumplings because, as you can see, they've covered the whole surface of the pot. And like I said, I like a lot of dumpling. So put as much dumpling in as you want. And then just take out some of the broth, the chicken. You may think that your broth looks a little thin, but what's going to happen as you bite into your dumpling, it's going to start to dissolve into that hot broth and thicken it up. So it's going to be perfect, I promise. And now for the taste test. Make sure you get some of the dumpling, some of the chicken, some of the carrot. So good. Yum. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen today. You can find the recipe for this Instapot chicken and dumplings in the description down below. And be sure and check out all my other Instapot recipes here on YouTube by clicking over here. As always, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel by clicking down below. And be sure and turn on that little notification bell so you'll be notified every time a new video drops here on YouTube.